Boardwalk
Wire.
Empire.
Boardwalk Empire.
I blew through The Wire. That's quality entertainment.
I know you like those shows, and I also know that you're not alone. That most people consider them some of the best.
Yeah. Not for you.
I've seen The Wire twice. I
Slow?
loved the first season, and I liked the other seasons. I just don't put it there with the best of the best.
I think it's the writing that pushes it over for me, and like a couple of the characters in particular, like really do a great job. And no, I like it a lot, but it is very slow, and you have to. In season 2, that Ziggy character is just so obnoxious, and even his cousin, the other white guy, they're just. I feel like they're miscast or something. Like I don't like those characters. It's not great. Boardwalk's great though. I hadn't seen that in a while. The only problem with Boardwalk is you got to somehow buy that Steve Buscemi's a tough guy, and it's like
that's how I always felt about Joe Pesci.
Joe Pesci's stocky, you know. Like I feel like he's no pushover. I bet he hits hard. But Steve Buscemi is just like this wimp of a lily flower kind of guy. Like he's just a wisp of a man. If I had to guess, he's like below 5'9", below 150, even in his prime. Like he's a little bitty fellow. So the idea that he's gonna conk some big galoot over the head and kick him in the ass, get out of my bar. Nah, that dude's gonna scoop you up, dude. You better have your goons like surrounding you at all times, because anybody in this room can throw you an ass whooping. He's just
Hollywood does that with the mob so much, right? Like, oh, here's a guy who's a good 220 pounds overweight, not 220 pounds, 220 pounds too fat. But he's like a tough guy. You lock the door, and he's like a dude. You know how unathletic that person is. Here's another guy, Steve Buscemi. Here's another guy, Joe Pesci. Your whole crew is like the fucking island of misfit toys. And
I disagree on this one. I think that big man is a real problem. Like that 400-pound man. Like I don't want Wings pushing me into a corner.
I feel like if I pull him towards me, he falls down. Like that guy is just a tippy toppy balance. He's like an upside down bowling pin.
Yeah, it's the difference between like an implied sort of scariness, where like if Tony Soprano's threatening you, not only are you afraid because he's a big scary man, but you also know that like shit, even if I whoop Tony's ass, hell, if I kill him even, it doesn't end well. He's not gonna go back like, yeah, Woody whooped my ass, boys. He's the boss now.
It was a fair fight.
Like,
hey, let it go.
Leave Woody alone. He kicked my butt in honorable combat. He's gonna be like, I want you to go over tonight. I want you to go get Woody. I don't want you to go get Woody's family. And get that dog, that stupid fucking dog. That dog. That's what's gonna.
So I'm with you on that, but sometimes I feel like these are people who aren't afraid of the mob, and they still like their biker gang. Look, that biker gang would have kicked the fuck out of the mob in that situation. They were all tougher guys.
Yeah, I think that's just a casting problem more than anything, and like the way it's sort of displayed. I don't know. I feel like if you look at the way like actual modern gangsters handle themselves, man, it's somebody even. It seems like if anyone disrespects you, they just come back and shoot them to death, right? Like that's what most of that. When you hear about like the gun violence in Chicago, it's a drug war that's happening. It's gangsters fighting over corners and territory to sell drugs, and they're killing each other. And who's the guy in the NBA that Stephen A. Smith, not Stephen A. Smith, the other one. Who's the one that got the little lift?
He's an announcer. But is he in the NBA?
He's it's the big dude. We were joking about him a couple. Shut the this fucking dog. It's that it's the black guy who has the show with the older white guy. He's a former player.
Right. Shannon Sharp is the one we talked about. Oh, he's a football player though.
Yeah, he was just called. I remember he was calling some an NBA player out for just being a gangster. And
so Shannon Sharp was calling out Ja Morant. Ja Morant apparently is not really a gangster, but he's adopted that persona and just walks around on the court like, don't fuck with me. Meanwhile, I don't know how big he is, but I think he's smaller than most NBA players.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess what I was getting at is like, seems like the way modern gangsters do things, like they just shoot each other. There's no like mob boss that's on the streets who's talking a lot of shit, because anybody who does that gets shot to death, it would seem.
Yeah, I I guess. I mean, this isn't really my world, but
Yeah, I'm going off The Wire mostly, right? Like I feel like The
just-
Wire is a pretty accurate representation of what's going on, like at street level drug sales, right?
here's the situation that happens in movies. A guy's from out of town. He doesn't realize he's dealing with the mob, but he like gets his ass kicked because this mobster's supposed to be tough, but he doesn't seem very tough to me. Or it's like, if I have the ability to win this fight and then leave town and never come back to that town, that's my move. Yet all these guys lose their fights. Why? Because Joe Pesci's so handy with his hands.
You're gonna have to give me some examples. And again, these are just issues with movies that you have more than like.
That's what that's the issue I'm making, though. I'm not saying that like in real life these gangsters are winning fights they shouldn't have.
You know, if you think about like I'm the main one where Joe Pesci's like the real tough guy is like Casino, you know. And if you look at like all the instances where he's conducting himself as a tough guy, he never squares up with anybody. He stabs people in the face when they aren't looking, right? Or he gets his goons to hold you on a table and put your head in a vise. He wasn't like, hey, yous and yous, come at me. He never did anything like that. He never just threatened some. The only time he'd like actually went at somebody, it was like that fat, older, overweight lawyer. That's the guy he grabbed and was like, what the fuck are you going to do this and that? Someone he could overpower. Everybody else. Like, oh, you're not looking? Let me stab you in the ear. Dude, who stabbed you in the ear? I'm going to start crying too. Don't stab me in the ear, Joe. I didn't know. Dude, I thought an ass whooping was as bad as this could go. And I'm deaf as a leader. Like, we started off with deafness. I don't know. I'm afraid of Joe Pesci or anybody who's willing to stab me in the ear, even when it seems like things are okay now.
It's because he's unpredictable and cruel.
Did you step on my shoe? Yeah, sorry about that. And he turns away. No problem. But he's really going to stab me in the ear when I turn back to my drink. Like, I'm terrified of that guy.
Yeah, because he's not
going to arm wrestle me, Woody.
No, he's going to wait until you're not looking and stab you in the shoulder with a fork or something.
Something worse, man.
Probably something worse. That would actually be not too bad compared to what he did to most people.
Yeah, I'm scared. And then, you know, and the classic one where Joe Pesci is scary is, you know, Home Alone. And if you're a child, Joe Pesci's terrifying, you know.
Yeah, horrifying. Do you know what actually scared me in Home Alone?
The dangerous one.
Escape from New York. Not Escape from New York. What the fuck is it
Escape
called?
from LA?
Lost in New York.
No. Home
Alone 2, Lost in New York.
Lost in New York. Yeah. I thought you said Boston, New York. And I'm like, I know that's not it. Lost in New York. There was like, as a kid, I remember watching that and I would like turn away every time Marv went to like get electrocuted in that warehouse because like him being like, and like seeing his skeleton and everything, that scared me as a little kid. I didn't like it. I was like, oh, I know he's the burglar, but I hope he's not too fucked up from that.
So I wanted him to die. I hope
you wanted Marv to die.
I wanted him to die in the first one. I was a huge fan of Home Alone, and I although you know, I was always like, why don't he just get a real gun? I was like, I would just skip right to the gun, you know, if there were home intruders. I feel like,
yeah, it's like that Family Guy, that old Family Guy sketch where it's like a realistic Home Alone, and like the guys come in immediately, and he like throws a paint can down.
Oh, look out for that
shoot
paint
him
can
in the head. Yeah, look out for that paint can. Hey, there's some marbles on the floor. Oh yeah,
watch out.
I could have stepped on them. And they just kill him.
Yeah, he's fucking dead. Yeah, that's what would happen. Like there's no amount of paint cans that are gonna stop me from getting you little fuck.
Yeah, I'll kill that spider too.
Oh, a spider! I'm gonna make you eat this, you little piece of shit. And put you. I'm a grown ass man. You think I'm afraid of a goddamn spider? I'm a robber. I'm a home invader, and the traps didn't slow me
over
down.
yourself.
You think I'm scared of you and your spider? You're in some shit.
I'm moonlighting as a burglar. I'm a murderer. Like
yeah,
that's what he did.
that was how they like made sure you hated them, right? Like that first house they robbed, they turned all the water on. The wet bandits. They plug all the drains and turn all the water on, and these people are away from their homes.
Why do you always turn the faucets on? He's like, it's our calling card for the wet bandits. It's like, no one calls us that, Marv.
It's such a horrific thing to do to somebody.
That is the worst thing you could do to someone's house.
It'd be better to burn it down. At least then it's like
similar to different.
At least you can walk away if you burn the motherfucker down. But if you, like, God, you'd walk in.